Going over the brand new release polls from Emerson and the Hill polling, going over the 2024 election, presidential election in swing states. This is my first time reviewing the poll, actually. I haven't checked it out beforehand, so I'll be going over this live with you all today and giving you my interpretation on what I think about this poll. So first things first, a new Emerson College polling the Hill swing state survey finds a tight race between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Harris is a slight lead over Trump in Michigan at 50 to 47, Georgia 49 to 48, and Nevada 49 to 48. The candidates, both Harris and Trump, are tied in Pennsylvania 48 to 48, and in Wisconsin and North Carolina, Trump is a 1-point lead over Harris 49 to 48, and in Arizona, Trump leads Harris by 3 points 50 to 47. And it also gives you further details state by state as well right here. In Arizona, again, Trump 50, Harris 47, about 2% that are third party or undecided. Georgia 49 for Harris, 48 for Trump, 3% undecided. Michigan 50 to 47 for Harris, 3% undecided. Nevada 49-48, 3% undecided. North Carolina 49-48, where Trump is up 3% undecided. Pennsylvania, a tie at 48-48, 3% undecided. And Wisconsin, Trump is a 1-point lead, 49-48, 3% undecided. And there's also some commentary as well here made by the executive director of Emerson College Polling, saying the race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump continues to be tight within each state's margin of error. Harris leads Trump among independents in each state, with the exception of Nevada, where Trump leads 50 to 44. There's a stark gender divide as well, similar to 2020. In 6 of the 7 swing states, Harris leads Trump among women. However, in Arizona, Trump has a 2-point edge in Harris among women voters, a group that broke for Biden by about 3 points in 2020. And then it goes through those numbers again if you're interested in that. Arizona, Harris 51, Trump 45. Georgia 54-38. Michigan 46-43, North Carolina 48-46. Trump is up in Nevada, as I mentioned, 50 to 44. Pennsylvania 48-40 for Harris, and Wisconsin 52-43. For voters under 30, Arizona has Harris at 65, Trump 35. Georgia's Harris 60, Trump 35. Michigan Harris 62, Trump 32. North Carolina 55-39. Nevada 70-28. Pennsylvania 65-35. Wisconsin 54-41. Women voters as well. In Arizona, Trump has 50, Harris is 48. Georgia, Harris 54, Trump 44. Michigan 56 to 41 for Trump. North Carolina 53 to 46. Nevada, Harris 53, Trump 44. Pennsylvania, Harris 54, Trump 42. Wisconsin, Harris 54, Trump 43. And in closing on this one, the male voters for Trump versus Harris, Trump is 52, Harris is 46. Trump 53, Harris 43. Trump 54, Harris 43. Trump 53, Harris 43 in North Carolina. Nevada 52-45. Pennsylvania 55-41. In Wisconsin, Trump has 55, Harris has 42. It also goes very briefly into some Senate polls as well. I'm probably going to skip over these right now because I'm planning on making a future video about these. So that'll be a separate video. So if you want to watch that, stay tuned. That'll be coming out in the next few days. But I am going to be just temporarily skipping over that for right now. Right now, top issues. Right now, all the states have the economy listed as their top issue. And the second issue is where things start to vary a bit. But every issue, the top issue is the economy. Arizona, immigration is the second issue. Housing affordability, second in Georgia. Threats to democracy in Michigan is second. Healthcare is second in North Carolina. Housing affordability in Nevada is second. Threats to democracy is second in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Voters are asked if Project 2025 makes them more or less likely to support Donald Trump or have no impact. In Arizona, it said 38% said less likely to support Trump, 13% said more likely, 37% no difference, 13% not familiar. These are a lot of numbers to go over a lot very quickly here, but it seems to be a pretty even split between less likely and no difference being very, very close. And it's interesting. It's very interesting. I think we see why the Harris campaign continues to go after Trump on this, even though Trump has distanced himself from Project 2025 multiple times now. The Harris campaign is not giving up on tying Trump to 2025 because in hopes they'll tie Trump with the project, it'll likely help them in the election if they're successfully able to do so. That's mainly the strategy on that one. Voters were asked if the tax on tips policy that Donald Trump proposed and then Kamala Harris also supported a few weeks later said should be eliminated or should tax remain taxable. 74% are in favor of tax on tips being eliminated in Arizona. 14% want it taxed. Georgia, almost the exact same numbers, just 12% taxed. Michigan, 65-17 in favor of no tax. 70-71 in North Carolina and Nevada. Pennsylvania, 68, Wisconsin, 66. So this policy is very, very popular and supported by pretty much everyone. Again, it would be unfair not to mention that Donald Trump proposed this policy first, and then Kamala Harris proposed it as well a few weeks later. So technically, I mean, it's just unfair to mention that Donald Trump did support this first. And voters were asked how they think President Biden will go down as history as outstanding, average, below average, or poor. 19% outstanding president, 15 above average, 14 average, 13 below average, 39 poor. And it's just, once you add up all the votes, it shows a very, very split, I think, decision of all of them. And I think that has to do with the fact that we're continuing to be a very divided and polarized country right now. The sample size for Arizona was 720 likely voters with a minus margin of error of 3.6. Michigan and Georgia were 800, a 3.4% margin of error. Pennsylvania was 950, 3.1%. Nevada is 1,168, plus minus of 2.8%. North Carolina, 775, credible interval of 3.5. Sample size for Wisconsin is 850, 3.3% margin of error. So that's pretty much everything go over the poll, and the poll was conducted between August 25th and August 28th. Okay, so what are the takeaways from this poll? Well, the most obvious takeaway right now is this race continues to be a very, very close race where it's really hard to say there is 100% an objective winner right now. Because right now, it seems pretty clear that Kamala Harris is a narrow lead nationally in the popular vote. But when you go state by state and the swing states, this election is completely a jump ball. And the biggest margin in any of these races right now is 3 points between Trump and Harris. And that means every single swing state is under the margin of error right now. So we look at this, and now we're just going, okay, well, we know the races are very close and they're under the margin of error. How does it go for the electoral map? What's going to happen from this, where this is where things are going at this time? So this is where we go right now. Starting first, the state of Arizona, Trump leads here according to the poll at 50-47. That is 3 percentage points. So we're going to give Arizona an 11 electoral votes to Donald Trump. This is not what I think will happen. This is just purely a hypothetical scenario that I'm going through right now. Arizona and its 11 go to Trump. That gets Trump to 230. Harris is at 226. Georgia, right now, Kamala Harris in this poll has a 1-point lead over Trump, 49-48. So we're going to give the state of Georgia, just for the hypothetical here, to Kamala Harris at 1%. 242, 230 for Harris over Trump after winning Georgia. Now we go to the state of Michigan, 50-47 in this poll. Harris is up over Donald Trump. We're going to give the state of Michigan and its 15 electoral votes to Kamala Harris. 257 for Harris to 230 for Donald Trump. The state of Nevada, 49-48 for Harris over Trump in this poll. 1-point race, very, very close. We're going to give the state of Nevada to Harris. 263 for Harris, 230 for Donald Trump. Looks like things are getting a little bit rough, but next thing you know, Donald Trump comes in and wins the state of North Carolina, 49-48. So North Carolina will be a tilt for Donald Trump. Trump is at 246, Harris is at 263. And we're going to come back to the state of Pennsylvania, and right now Donald Trump has a 49-48 lead over Harris in the state of Wisconsin. That brings the electoral map to 263 to 256. And Pennsylvania, which is exactly tied in the polls right now, would decide the election, as I've been saying for the last few weeks now. And look, I mean, today's polls, I understand the optics of it. If you're a Republican, you're going to say the poll's wrong, Trump's running away with this election. If you're a Democrat, you're going to say the poll is wrong, Harris is running away with the election. I totally get that. But right now, what this poll says to me, and my own personal interpretation of this, is that this race is completely a jump ball right now, and that it's winnable by both sides. It really is. And I think, as I've been saying, whichever candidate wins the state of Pennsylvania, I think is going to win the presidential election. because there's this poll. I'm not shocked by the result of this poll, but there are some things that are a little bit surprising compared to the past few weeks. For one thing, Wisconsin switching back to Trump is actually a little surprising because Harris has led there now for at least 2 or 3 weeks. So that's a little surprising to see Trump leading in Wisconsin. It's equally surprising to see the state of Georgia for Harris in this poll. That's something that I was not really expecting too much because Trump has been doing well there for the last few weeks or so. And Governor Kemp is now like basically joined forces with Donald Trump and pretty much vowed to put their differences aside to try to win the election. So this poll is very, very interesting and shows a lot of interesting insights into how this election could go. And look, I mean, all the polls that I showed you in this video they're all 3% or under. They're all under the margin of error. Well, their margins were under the margin of error. So every single state, that means, could go the opposite of how it went in the poll today. So Nevada could go red, Arizona can go blue, Georgia can go blue, North Carolina can go blue, Pennsylvania can literally go either way, Michigan can go red, Wisconsin can go blue. It's such a close election right now that it could really go either way. At least that's what the polling says right now. There are other things that we have taken account on election day itself. For instance, voter turnout, voter enthusiasm. Trump has, in 2016 and 2020, outperformed the polls by a certain percentage point. Does that happen again in 2024? Or has the polling data corrected and made up for that? That's something we're going to have to wait and see for as well. So there are a lot of other factors for the election itself that we have to be mindful of. But right now, I think it's pretty obvious that this election is very close. And it's hard to say there's a definite leader right now because it really, at least in the polling data, doesn't show there is a leader right now. It shows it's a very close election. That's a statistical tie in pretty much every major swing state. And it's going to come down to the absolute wire, barring any late foreseen or unforeseen change. It's going to be a very close election that comes down to the wire. So that's me breaking down the new poll by Emerson and the Hill. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like, click subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.